wonder how I would have looked like. You would be running away from me, 'cause I'll be scary by now. Ooh, the things I have seen, my mouth cannot say, and the pains I have felt, this tongue cannot tell. Then soon in chino me da so me think mamma. Nina chino me da so me won't pantia and I do more. This is the doing of the Lord, and it's marvelous in our sight. This is the hand of Yahweh, and it's marvelous in our sight. I have a testimony, and I will tell the whole world. I have a testimony, and I will tell the whole world of how you rescued me, how you saved.
Hello, Happy New Year once again to all the Inside View family. And, just like I do all the time, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you once again for your continued support they've given me. You've shown me so much love. And I am so appreciative of all your, kind words that you sent over the Christmas period. God richly bless you. And please, continue to pray for me and also with me, so that the Inside View will continue to bring you more insightful and more discerning programs just to affect lives. And thank you once again. We all witnessed, last year, how, the war that broke out, that is still actually ongoing, between Ukraine and Russia, that is really affecting a lot of economies and a lot of lives, as we all know, have been, displaced. And, most of us, we've never been in that environment before. So, sometimes we don't, tend to appreciate the kind of freedom, that we have. But tonight I have with me a young lady who left the shores of UK, to go and study medicine, and was actually, caught up in this war. I'm not going to actually introduce her. I want her to introduce herself and also tell her own story. So tonight I have with me Gifty Merit Eze. Gift, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, and welcome to the Inside View.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for, offering to share your story, with the whole world. At least we can learn from you, and so appreciate the liberty that we actually take for granted. So, for the people actually watching you, I just want you to introduce yourself and also share with us a little bit, about your background, the kind of family that you grew up in, and, anything actually just concerning yourself, please.
Okay, I'm Gift. I was born in London, but then my mum and dad took me back to Nigeria. I think I was maybe a year old or less. I have 5 older siblings. And so if my mum and dad never took me home, I would have never met them. So they decided that they didn't want me to kind of grow up in the UK way. They wanted me to grow up the African way. So I spent the first, I think, 8 or 9 years in Nigeria. And then once I completed primary school, I came back to London and had to go back to primary school for a year because I was too young, and then carried on studying here. In 2013, I graduated from sixth form but I had some stuff come up and I couldn't go to university. So I actually spent like 4 years, I believe, out of education, and I was just working and that kind of thing. And in 2017, I went back to uni. First of all, I started studying in Bradford University,
Okay.
and then I decided, no, no, I've heard about Ukraine. Maybe I didn't know too much about Ukraine, but I thought, oh, it's in Europe. Surely it's going to be good. So in 2019, I moved to Ukraine to study medicine. Yeah.
Good. We all know, some of the effects of war, like such
Hmm.
as, the destruction to physical infrastructures, and
Hmm.
also the destruction to, economic and also political, like institutions, and
Hmm.
also, the losses in, human lives,
Hmm.
more, malnutrition, illness, and, like many more. And,
Yeah.
you know, at that time that you actually left for Ukraine, there was no war,
Hmm.
nothing.
Yeah.
But before you go actually into your story,
Hmm.
why did you choose to study in Ukraine? Any particular reason?
Well, part of the reason it's because, like I said, in 2013, for some reason, prior to this, I've never failed anything in my life. But in
Mhm.
2013, I failed every single exam that I wrote, no matter how many times I did it, which was really baffling. So I had to figure out another pathway to continue my dreams of becoming a doctor. And so I didn't know any other way. So I was just taking it a step at a time. This is how I ended up in Bradford. And I think I heard about Ukraine. I had a friend who moved to Ukraine. And so I just did a little bit of research and I figured out that I could study medicine there, and it was much more affordable as well than studying in some other European countries. Yeah, that's why I chose Ukraine.
Okay, so how long did it take for you to adjust and adapt, to living there?
Some things were quick, other things I don't think I've adjusted to today. But I was lucky that before I even moved to Ukraine, I had like people calling people they knew. They're like, "Oh, Gift is coming. Can you please look after her?" My sister went with me on my that first journey and stayed with me for like 2 3 days whilst I got used to it. And then I had some church friends as well, who became my roommates, took me in. So they really helped me. I think without them, it would have been a huge struggle.
Okay, so any fascinating moments, like of of you studying and living in yeah, in Ukraine? Any fascinating moments at all?
Yes, definitely. I think the biggest thing for me is you walk in, you think, "Oh, okay, I'm moving to Ukraine. It's in Europe. It's going to be like every other European country."
Hmm.
It's not. It's not at all. I remember that when we first moved, it was like such a culture shock. It was like going back in time. Depending on which city you live in Ukraine, the infrastructure is completely different. And the city that we lived in, Zaporizhia, is quite, I would say, not as like developed as other cities like Kiev or Lviv. So little things that we take for granted here, like red buses and things like that, you just don't have that. So it was a big culture shock for us.
So, like, apart from the cultural shock, what about the
Mhm.
language?
Yeah, the language is a problem. It's not like English. The alphabet's completely different.
Hmm.
And at the time, Ukraine was phasing out speaking like Russian officially, like in schools and things like that. So before my year, I think the last 2 years prior to my year, they would teach them. They had the Russian medium. They would teach them like teach them Russian. But by the time we were starting, they were teaching us Ukrainian. But in Zap, which is Zaporizhia, on the streets people speak Russian, not Ukrainian. But if you go to Kiev, they speak Ukrainian, not Russian. So it kind of depends on where you live. So you kind of have to learn both languages in order to like live or communicate effectively as you travel around Ukraine. Yeah.
Wow. Do you know what? According to the New York Times, they reported, that out of the 44 million, Ukrainian residents, as of now, like over 3 million, I was saying, like people have left and they're still counting. So for
Mhm.
you, how, you know, um, did this news actually affect your parents and also your friends when they got to hear that, war has actually broken out in Ukraine? And how did that affect you?
I think it definitely initially affected our parents, our family, and friends who were watching the news all the time a lot more than it did us. I know that when the war first started, it started in Kiev and then it moved to Zap and other places, but Zap is quite far away from Kiev. So when the war first started, everyone was kind of like, yeah, it's fine. It never gets to Zap. It won't get to Zap. It's never gotten to Zap. And so everyone kind of had this relaxed attitude, like, oh, it's happened before. So whilst we were there, we weren't as scared initially, but our parents were calling every day, what are you still doing there? You need to get out. But unfortunately for someone like me who was in like at the end of my third year, I had a huge state exam in February. I couldn't go anywhere because without passing that exam, I couldn't continue on. And we had our university saying, "Oh, it's just propaganda. Don't worry, they're not going to invade. Oh, they do this all the time. You can't go anywhere. Oh, you can go, but then our classes are physical. So if you miss too many classes, we're just gonna have to expel you." So as students, we couldn't leave. But obviously, our parents who saw the news all the time would call every day, "Why won't you leave?" And it's hard to explain this. Like, we can't. Our university won't let us go or something like that. So initially, that's kind of how it was.
Wow. So to date, I mean, how has this actually affected your studies?
Enormously, I would say huge. It's had a huge like effect on me, on a lot of my like my friends and colleagues. Personally, when I first came back to England, I was just thinking, "Thank you, God, I'm here, I'm alive." But then
Mhm.
after weeks and weeks and months, I'm like, "Oh, but what am I gonna do now? Where do I begin?" And we tried to get what are it called? Well, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like your grades.
Yeah.
Um, we tried to get that from our school, and our university absolutely refused. Most universities in Ukraine refused to give it to their students. I think they kind of knew that their students would leave them if they gave it to them, so they
Mhm.
refused to give it to us, and said that the only way that we would get this is if we were expelled. Now we couldn't get into any other school without this record of our achievements basically in university, so we were stuck. We Do I choose to get myself expelled and then do what? What do I do now? So I was in that situation for a very long time, and I was just talking to lots of people. Should I quit? Should I start again? It was a very tough decision because each one has like pros and cons. And at this point I'm now 28. It's just I don't want to start university again and all of that. So it was a really really difficult situation to be in.
So now, what's going to happen to your transcripts?
That's
Since they,
transcript.
yeah, since they are not actually willing to, just release it to all the foreign students. What are you going to do?
I think my school said eventually you'll pay this certain amount and then you can get your transcript. But it's a luck of the draw if you actually get your transcript or not, even after paying. So a lot of students just decided to, "Do you know what, we're going to start again somewhere." Some were lucky from other schools who were able to get their transcript. I had friends who were in their final year who were able to complete and actually get the diploma and everything. But then they have issues now because a lot of them are Nigerian, and Nigeria no longer accepts the diploma from Ukraine. So it's like, oh, we have to this diploma now, but we can't use it. I still don't have my transcript. I just decided to start again.
Wow, this is very, very a bit painful and also upsetting as well.
Mhm.
Um, but for you, somebody watching you,
Mhm.
how have you been able to compose yourself. I mean, in spite of the war, and also, to the disruption of your education, because like it looks like you have to, start over again,
Mhm.
if you don't receive, or actually get your transcripts. I mean, how have you been able to, still stay grounded to date?
I think a big reason, I would say, was my family, or is my family. Um, my family were really encouraging. They were with us. My family, all of our my like when we left Ukraine, we left as a big group, and one thing that we did is share our numbers and our like the numbers of our parents and our siblings with everyone. Like if anything happens to me, they can reach you. If they can't reach me, they can reach you. And our family has been with us every step of the way, leaving Ukraine, going into Hungary, going in. We've all split up and gone across the globe. We're all everywhere now. And I think they're still supporting us. It's knowing that there are other people in the same situation as me. I mean, at first it was really depressing. It was so depressing.
Yeah.
I think I would cry a lot because I'm like, God, why? Like, why me? Like, seriously, what am I supposed to do in this situation? And something that I didn't mention earlier is when we left Ukraine, we couldn't carry anything. I left with a backpack with my laptop and my iPad and my phone and my passport. That's it. I've lived in Ukraine for 4 years. Everything I've built up is still in Ukraine at this moment. So it's having to start life again with nothing. All my documents, I don't have any documents. They're all in Ukraine. All my GCSE results, A level results, everything. All the hard copies are in Ukraine. My birth certificate is in Ukraine. So it's like we're still kind of going through the situation of we don't know what we can do or what we can't do. But knowing that, you know, my friends are going through the same situation. My family's like, you know what, it's okay. Like, God got you out. That's something. You're alive. Start again. And even though I didn't want to start again, I said, well, I need a degree. So I needed to start again. But as I mentioned to you earlier, I am actually still studying online in Ukraine. I don't know if I'll ever be able to use that degree, but I just wanted to, for myself, complete my degree because it's been such a long journey for me. I haven't wasted 4 years in Ukraine. And if at the end of 6 years, whether it's online 90% of the time, and I get that diploma, even if I can get a job with it, I can put it on my wall and I know that gift. 6 years, you tried. So I think that's kind of I talk to myself, I pray about it, and I know that God has a plan. I mean, he has to have a plan, right? So that's what me and my friends used to encourage each other, like, God has a plan. Like, if we didn't go to Ukraine, we would have never met. And they're like my sisters, that like all the pictures behind me are mostly people from Ukraine. It's like, if I
Wow.
didn't go to this country, I wouldn't have met these people. So surely there's a reason why God took me here. So that's what keeps me grounded.
You're a very, very strong girl. Especially, just looking on your wall, and also mentioning, the people that you met,
Mhm.
like on your journey. And it shows how strong and also resilient that you are. Um, I like the way you've channeled your pain into a purpose, because somebody would have just, said, you know what, I'm done. I'm just throwing in the towel. But here you are, now pursuing a different career. That's, paramedic science.
Mhm.
And then you're also studying medicine online. I don't know
Mhm.
how you can even get the right frame of mind to do these two courses, simultaneously. I am so, so proud of you,
Thank you.
for, yes, yes. And, for not giving up on yourself in spite of the trauma, and also the sudden change or change, it's, I don't know, it's a huge change to a
Mhm.
young girl's life like you, but then to have that space in your mind and also in your heart to say that, you know what, I'm going to, press on, and also to make myself proud. I think we should all actually just commend you for that strong will that you have.
Thank you.
And um, I just wish you well, honestly. I just wish you well. Um, we've all been watching the telly, seeing how the war actually unfolded. But for you, can you share your personal, challenges relating to this war and also being traumatized? If you can share with us, the journey.
I think one of the major thing is living in an uncertain environment. That was really strange for us. The day that that Russia invaded Ukraine, we got a notice, get all your money out of your bank account. I was like, what? All the ATMs were out of cash. Everyone's getting all their money out, and it's like, oh, get all, buy all the food you can buy. And it's like, oh my god, what should I do? And it's like, oh, find the bunker. And if you hear the sirens, run into the bunker and stay there until the sirens go off. And it's like, I'm sorry, but what? Like overnight? Like how do we even know how to handle this? Like the fear. Like I at the time I wasn't even on campus. I was staying at a friend's house. I was house sitting for a friend. So I was far away from everyone. And I was like, okay, God, you can't let something happen to me. I'm far away from everyone. Who do I turn to? I don't even speak the language very well. So that was, we couldn't sleep. We couldn't sleep. Like I slept with one eye open because I was like, okay, okay. And by the grace of God, I had a friend who came to stay with me, and we stayed with my friend's grandma, who's Ukrainian as well. And she just had this relaxed attitude, like, I've been through war. What's gonna happen to me? I've been through war, and I think that strengthened us because we see this old lady. It's not that strong, but she doesn't care. She's if she's okay, then we can be okay as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we she really encouraged us. We couldn't even communicate properly. She doesn't speak much English. We don't speak much Ukrainian or Russian. But just she would feed us every morning. She would ask us,
Wow.
"Are you okay?" And it's like that really helped us so much. And that was the most heartbreaking thing when we said to her, "We're leaving," and she was like, "Yes, go." And it's like we don't want to leave you, but we know that this journey that we're about to go on, you just can't do it, because it was 22 hours on the first train, then 6 hours on the next train, then it was waiting at I can't remember the name of the city for hours and hours. Then it was another train into Hungary. Then it was waiting in Hungary for 3 days, and there was just no way for an old woman to do that kind of journey. We were running across live train
Mm.
tracks just to catch trains that we didn't know their destination. We just had to be on a train going somewhere.
Wow.
And there's no way that she could have done that. And if we didn't have each other in that situation, I don't know how we would have coped. So it is, even after leaving that situation, going into different countries, it's waking up and be like, sirens, loud noise, oh my God. And it's like just trying to remind yourself, oh, I'm not there anymore. I'm not there anymore. So what I did to help is I didn't watch any news related to Ukraine. Nothing. I still don't watch any news related to Ukraine even till today, just to like mentally remove myself from that situation.
Okay. So, personally, have you received any form of help or like any form of therapy, just to deal with this trauma that that you went through? Have you gotten any help at all?
Personally, no. 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 I mean, I've had friends, I've had family, you can talk to them, but like professional help, no. No, no.
Okay. So, do you hope maybe to get one in future?
I think possibly.
Possibly.
I do think possibly in the future it would be something to sit down and talk about it, really think about how it's affected me, and
Mm-hmm.
but I think at this moment I just want to soldier on and complete this new degree and kind of focus on that for now.
Wow. Okay. I just wish you well. When you get to that point. Do you know what there was or there is still news that I think the actual Ukrainians have
Mm,
received much open arms to other
mm,
like European countries as compared to African refugees and also like refugees from the Middle East.
mhm.
Even though you are a British citizen, is there any way that on your way, coming back, you faced any form of, discrimination in trying to board trains, or any form of escape. Did you experience any form of discrimination at all? Because I think it was all over the news. We
Mm-hmm.
had news from from the Nigerian students, from
Mm-hmm.
Ghanaian students. Everything. You know, what was your experience? Like in regards to that.
I think for, like I mentioned earlier, we traveled as a big group.
Mm-hmm.
So because we were in a big group, we weren't so afraid of like being lost, being separated, or things like that. We're all Christians, so we're praying, we're keeping our faith alive. So I think we didn't face too much discrimination personally. I mean, we did have like a few Ukrainian people who were like, "Oh, what are you doing on this train?" And we're like, "Can you just move up a bit? Let's kind of squeeze into these chairs, we can't stand up for these many hours." And they tried to give us attitude, go back to your country. But my friends had been fed up. They were fed up at that point, and my friends speak perfect Russian, so they were just like, "What do you think we're trying to do? Where do you think we're trying to go?" And I think because they saw that we weren't intimidated, they just piped down. They were probably just afraid themselves and decided to take it out on other people. um and to be honest, when we got to the boundary, they allowed Ukrainian women and children first before even anyone else could cross the border. And for the girls, it wasn't too bad because after the Ukrainian women and children, the African or Middle Eastern girls go through, but the boys had to wait a long time because
Wow.
there's all these people who have to go before you. Again, what can we say? It's their country, it's their mothers, it's their wives, it's their children. If it was in our country, wouldn't we do the same for our wouldn't we prioritize our citizens first a little bit? But of course we all heard about what's happening at the Polish border and things, so we stayed clear of that border because we didn't want any of that, because it started off good, and then as more people got frustrated, it got worse and worse and worse. And we definitely didn't want to go through that border, so we went through the Hungary border, and that was okay. The officials, they were okay. There was times where it was so chaotic, the army came in with guns and everyone scattered, and it was just like, because people were so frustrated. It's been 2 days, you haven't
Mhm.
showered, you're frustrated, you're hungry, and you have to
Wow.
wait in this queue to get tickets to get on this train that would take you to Hungary. But all you have, like I said, the boys are waiting and waiting and waiting, and people are pushing in, and the queues are just not moving, and they're charging us money for this ticket. It's like, why are you charging us for this ticket? So people were getting frustrated. Some people were being plain silly. And so it got out of hand, it got rowdy, and the army came in with their guns, big guns, in their uniforms, head to toe, screaming. The language already sounds kind of aggressive, but when they're really screaming with these big guns waving in the air, everyone just
It's
dispelled. Like
terrifying.
everyone, it was like the Red Sea. It
Hmm.
was, yeah.
So in a group, this is very, very terrifying. I mean, traveling, as a group,
Hmm.
boys and girls, and then you see the girls actually go through, and the boys being left behind, and to be waiting for hours. I mean, how did you feel? I mean, it's I don't know, but how was the feeling for you? I,
Like
I don't
for
want
me,
to. It's
sorry,
very,
go
very
on.
hard, as a mother.
Mhm.
So I mean, just bear with me, but I just want to know for you, how was it?
I
How was it for
think
you?
it's trying to understand where they're coming from. In the moment, it was so frustrating. I can't lie, which is like, we've been standing here for hours. These people are just coming and going straight through. What are you doing? Like, you're letting 30 Ukrainians and then 5 black people. Why? Like, are we not human? Are we not standing in this queue?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but afterwards, you look back and you think, okay, maybe I see why they were doing it. But in that moment, it's really frustrating, especially for the boys. But our boys from church, they were really good. They stood in the queue for us. We didn't have to stand in the queue. They stood in the queue for us. We had friends. We had people who we didn't even know who were buying extra tickets and be like, I have extra tickets. Who wants to take this ticket for free? And the people were being really kind. And I had a friend who had severe asthma, and her dad had told me, please, no matter what,
Oh,
don't
dear,
leave this girl. So it's
dear.
like I'm carrying her suitcase, I'm carrying my backpack. I'm like, you better hold on. So it's like, and we got split up at certain points. So we actually entered into Hungary different, we were hours apart. We ended up in different cities even, because if you took a taxi, you'd end up at a different border. If you took a coach, you end up at a different border. If you took the train, you end up at a different border. And it's just like, at that point, there's no point waiting for the trains. You might as well try your luck, try see what works for you. So the boys ended up all, I think they were the last to arrive, and they ended up taking a taxi or coach or something. I went by train with my friends from school. I was separated from the church girls who, I think they went by taxi. But it's just, we just said, okay, we know we're about to be split up in this moment. We know that we can't control how quickly we get through this queue. So let's all meet in Budapest on this day. So I arrived first. I think I got to, I don't even know the name of the city in Hungary at like 1 a.m. and then got another train to Budapest. We got there like 7 a.m. So I was in the first batch. So when I got there, then I had to start arranging accommodation for everyone else. And I've never been there before. I don't know anyone. But I had, by the grace of God, I had my pastors who were like, Gift, are you there? Yes, okay. We're gonna call this person to come pick you up. And you see this lovely girl who I've never met before. Like, are you Gift? I'm like, yes. She's like, come with me. You're staying in my house. I've never met you before. And
Wow,
she
listen.
took me in. Yeah, and I had to. Whilst I was there, I was talking to my friends. Which city are you in now? Are you here? And there's like 6 of them coming in one big group. So they arrive. I'm like, okay, I've booked your accommodation here. The accommodation was ridiculously expensive as well. I booked your accommodation here. You all go there. The boys came last. They got their own accommodation. And then finally, I think the next day we could all meet up at the boys' house and be like, okay, check, 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 check. Everyone's here. Everyone's made it. But we couldn't control that. We just each had to get out whichever way that we could.
Wow. So, like in terms of you traveling, I know
Mhm,
like you're just using your mobile phones and laptops and whatever.
mhm,
I mean, how was it for you? Like in terms of your the battery life, how was it like for you? Because that was the only source of like your line of communication, and also your savior. Like in quotes.
mhm.
So I mean, how were you? Charging your phones, and I mean, how was it for you? Because this is a terrible a terrible experience.
Mhm. Yeah, I think.
How did you manage? Food, water wise, and everything. How?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you get
So,
food to eat? How did you? I mean, share with us, please.
so when we were told about the bunkers, we were told have a snack bag handy. So whenever you're
Mhm.
running into your bunker, you have your snack bag and you're running into the bunker with your snack bag because you don't know how long you're going to be there for. So what I did is I still had the same snack bag. I just had my backpack. That's all I had. It had a bottle of water. It had some cereal in there for some strange reason. It had some biscuits. But on this journey, we didn't eat. We were just so scared and just trying to,
Yeah.
you know, you also don't want to drink too much water because we sat on that first train for 22 hours. We were not getting up to go to the bathroom or anything like that. So, and in terms of battery life, that was the most tricky situation because at the time my phone was rubbish. It would die in 10 seconds. So I charged it fully on Saturday before we went to get the train. And then what we did, like I mentioned earlier, we had shared all our contacts with all our family members. So my friends know that if their dad can't reach them, their dad will try me. If they can't reach me, they'll try the other girl, they'll try the other boy. So they know that we're all together and we're not splitting at that point. So we would all turn off our phones and then one person will turn it on, check, turn it off, turn it on, check every few hours. But I think my battery was on like 20% for hours and hours because I'll turn it on, it goes down 2%. I'm like, okay, I've sent a message, it's gone through, everyone knows that everyone's okay, turn it back off. And I think I charged my phone the next time, maybe on Monday in Hungary. I charged it last on Saturday and I charged it again on Monday, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I found some restaurant and I sat there and I just plugged in my phone and my phone came to life, and then all these messages were like buzz, 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 buzz coming in. Because at this point we were separated, so we needed each person to be reached individually. So, but when we were together, we had a policy: your phone is off except you need it. We were each other's entertainment. We didn't need phones for entertainment.
What a story. This is Gift. You're a very, very strong girl. Now, I just want you to share with us, the kind of things that we take for granted. Our freedom, our liberty, and any other thing that to you was a luxury. To you know what I mean? Because we are just sitting, just in front of our television and just listening to war news all day. But we it's like until you get into the war zone, you never know, like what is it like to have your phone. You just have to 20%, and then you have to be thinking about what you're going to do. So for you, I just want you to tell the world, I mean, the things that we take for granted, that at that time, it brought you to that point, that point, and made you realize that, like this is it. If I had not been in this kind of situation or environment, I would never have realized how fortunate I've been all my life. If you can share that experience with us.
Of course. I think starting from something pretty simple, just being able to get a taxi, it was almost impossible. And everyone was like, I think the taxi that we finally got was 10 times the normal price. And you couldn't say you're not going to pay. You need to get to that train station to catch that train to go out, to leave Ukraine. So paying 10 times more for the taxi, you pay. It's the only one you're going to get. So that was number one for us. I think another thing is being able to take a shower, being able to feel clean, being able to change your clothes, and just feel like a human being. Being able to sit in a train and have some breathing room. We had no breathing room whatsoever. And something that was good is seeing a smiling face. I think when you think about this moment, you're afraid. You don't know what to do. You don't know what's coming next. And when we got to a city called Ushgrad, you had all these volunteers who were giving us free food, water, just smiling at us, helping us. And I was just like, it was a breath of fresh air. Like, do you know what? These people are not, they're not upset with us. Like, they're actually trying to help us. And I think even just being able to leave your house without the fear of, oh, there's going to be a siren. Oh my gosh, what if I don't make it back home that day because I don't know, I'm going across this bridge and something drops on me. Because we now are out of that situation, but we still have friends who are still there. We still have doctors who are still having to go to the hospital, even though they could die on their journey, to or fro, or in the hospital. You still have people who they still have to live through this. So I think just feeling safe as you open your door, leaving your house, coming home, closing your door, I think that's something we take for granted.
I like that. Feeling safe. Knowing well that you can return home safely. Something that we tend to take for granted. It's true. And also just a smile. I like the smile. And also, wanting to take a shower to feel like a normal human being. These are the little things that we take for granted. Now, I just want you to talk to that young girl out there that has never, witnessed what you have witnessed, because I could tell that you have this, post, traumatic stress. But in spite of all these issues, you've managed to channel that negativity, into positivity. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to encourage the young girl out there that feels despair, that feels that, do you know what, 2022, I didn't actually yield anything for me, and I want to take my life.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, just drop everything. I just want you to encourage the young girl with your story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me about surviving Ukraine and the war is that I tell myself during the sad times, the depressing times, that gift you're
Mm-hmm.
alive because God has a purpose for you. He says, I'm not done with you. So even if you can't see what it is, even if it's so dark and you're literally moving blind,
Yeah.
if you still have breath in your lungs, then God has a purpose for you and he's not done with you. And if God's not done with you, then don't be done with yourself. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't allow voices of people who they have good intentions, but they're telling you, oh, give up, it's not working. No,
Mm-hmm.
people are not, they're not, don't measure yourself by other people's successes. No,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has a journey, and sometimes there's delays. My older brother, when I was feeling really sad, told me that everybody has delays, but people have delays at different times, so you might not notice somebody else's delay and you think, oh, their life is moving perfect, but no, gift, you're seeing your delay but you don't know theirs. Maybe they've already overcome their delay, maybe their delay is yet to come. So if you're measuring yourself by someone else, you only see such a tiny bit of someone else's life. If that's what you're measuring your life, your worth by, then you're going to be very disappointed and very shocked. But it's about telling yourself that you can do it. It's never too late to start again. It's a humbling experience to have to start again, but
Yeah.
everyone has to start somewhere and build up.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, your life has a meaning. There's even if everything feels like it's falling apart, it just means that you're starting afresh. You can maybe do something you've never imagined before. You can maybe live somewhere you never thought, oh, I'll never be here. But now all this thing has gone wrong. It's a test. So now maybe you can
Mm-hmm.
have a testimony from it. And you can, as long as you don't give up and you trust in the one that made you and put you on this earth, that he isn't unfaithful. He's not wicked. He hasn't brought you this far to leave you. He hasn't brought you this far to see you struggle on your own, or even if you're not a believer, just think, well, I'm here, so there must be a reason. So it's allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself those days of absolute depression and tears, and being real with yourself as well. If you're denying how you're feeling, it's only going to build up and it's only going to get worse. And one day it's going to blow up and you may not be able to handle that situation when it blows up. But no, acknowledge your feelings. Allow yourself to feel angry. Allow yourself to say, oh, what is this? Allow yourself to go through all that stage until you reach acceptance. And then you can actually build yourself back up slowly and allow yourself to have just short term goals, not huge goals, just every day. Every day I want to smile. Every day I want to listen to music and be happy. Every day I want to say thank you because I'm still alive. And then soon enough, count your blessings. Before you know, you're like, oh wow, I've achieved that thing I thought I would never be able to achieve.
I, do you know what? I am so proud of you. So, so proud of you. I mean, for you to be able to encourage another young girl, out there, I am super, blown away by your resilience and also by your positivity. You know what? We have started on a good note. 2023, Gift is telling us that start by short-term goals.
Mhm.
If you have to play music, just do it. And then count your blessings. Name them one by one. And it will surprise you how far God will take you, because we are now starting. So we just have to see
Mhm.
how how far God will take us, in 2023. Your story has really touched a lot of lives. And I know that anybody watching you today will be marveled by your bravery, to share this traumatic experience. I mean, leaving from point A to point B, not knowing whether you'll be able to make it. no water, apart from a few snacks, and also being separated, not knowing whether maybe your colleagues or your friends, like be able to see them again. That alone, it's like it's so traumatizing. And also, to your parents, to your friends, to your loved ones, alone, every day thinking about you, praying for you. That alone, um, is a weight on its own. And here you are, full of life, full of energy, encouraging, us. I couldn't be proud of you, yeah, any less. So I am. I just wish you well.
Thank you.
I wish you well, and I know that you'll be able to pursue your medicine, and you become a great doctor because you've got a story. You've got something that the world, will one day, listen to you, maybe on a bigger scale. I mean, who knows? But yes, yes, for you to share your war experience. I know you're traumatized. I know you've got, a bit of, mental health, whatever. And, my little advice for you is seek help, seek counseling, let, those raw emotions out so that, you don't carry it on. So if you have to seek for any form of therapy or whatever, please don't hesitate to do it because it's so important. Yeah, I mean, you might think, oh, I'm fine, it's okay, but you'll be surprised how one day everything will just, just come out. So I'll just urge you to seek that help. Yes, you might need it. And also to your parents and also to your friends, I would like to say thank you for the prayers and also for the support that you gave to your daughter and also to your friend. Yes. I would want to, because I mean you've said it all. So basically I don't have anything to say because you have encouraged us. I was just here to encourage you, but the way you have even encouraged us, I don't think I can even go on with any more questions because you're okay. And also, thank you for um, accepting this kind of invitation to let your emotions out, share your story to the whole world. I'm so grateful, and I've got I think a few comments coming in, and this is from Nana Winful. How do you
Thank
pronounce it?
you.
Yeah, she says, "Stay strong, gift. Wish you all the best." And I've
Thank
got
you.
your Eze.
That's my sister-in-law.
Oh, sister-in-law. Yes, and she goes, "All the best."
Thank
And
you.
also from Muse, again, she goes, "Thank you for sharing." And also from Adelaide Hagen, and also that's my sister-in-law as well. She also said, "Wow, yeah." And I've got my own, Tash Telly, also saying, "Wow, that's also another, good friend, just good friend of mine." Yeah, and another from Sarah. Sorry, I'm also saying, "Oh yes, she's very strong. Yes, you're very, 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 very strong, very, very, very strong." And um, I think we might have to, unless you yourself, there's an experience that you want to share with us that maybe I didn't ask, but you think is worth for the world to know, that obviously, yes, I'll give you this opportunity to talk to us. Otherwise, we might have to end today's, discussion. So if you have anything that maybe you think, do you know what? I just want the world to know, like about this experience of mine. It might help somebody who knows. So if you want to, just maybe just briefly share something to us. I mean, fine. Yes, I'll be able to
Sure.
just give you the opportunity. Yeah, sure.
Sure. I think one of the most difficult parts of it all is trying to figure out how to move on. And I think
Mhm.
one thing that we didn't get, especially British students who studied in Ukraine, we didn't get an option when we moved back home, I emailed every single medical school in the UK, and the response was the same. You can't transfer here. We don't accept this. You can't do international transfers. You can't do domestic transfers. And so that was really, really discouraging. So I think if there was anything I would change, I would think the way that, I'm not saying, I know a lot of, maybe I've heard or read stories about Ukrainians who have come and then they can go to university here. We were not
Mm-hmm.
afforded that same opportunity for studying medicine, which is unfortunate. But I think that's the one thing that I think the government could have handled a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, so now that you said that.
Mhm.
So what happens to the medicine that you're actually reading online? Just talk to us about that one, because I know that currently you are reading paramedic science. So
Yes.
with the medicine that you're studying online,
Yes. Yes.
how
So
is that?
mhm.
Uh-huh.
I
I just
think
want to know. How can you study medicine online? I don't know how that works. So if you can maybe enlighten us on that one, please.
it's really tricky. I don't think it's the best way to study medicine, if I'm being honest. There's a lot that just goes over your head because it's, again, with our teachers still being, they're all, most of them PhD holders, doctors. So this, most of them are still in Ukraine, can't leave Ukraine. So they don't have that much internet connection and things. So our lessons are quite condensed. So it's like an hour a day, and it's like that's not enough. We don't even have enough time to really grasp the theory or anything. But right now that's all we have, which is why I'm also doing this degree. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the future when I get my diploma, I can do some kind of top up, and I don't know, some kind of practical or clinical practice to
Mm-hmm.
beef up my medical degree. But at the moment I'm not sure how useful the online study is at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so apart from the UK, what about the other
Mhm.
EU countries? Is there any way that you can transfer what you've already done to any of the like EU universities?
Yes, we had a few options in the beginning from like Hungary, Romania, countries like that. But only if we had transcripts, which we didn't have at the time. So a lot of windows of opportunities were lost because we couldn't get transcripts from the university. But I know people who have moved on to study in Hungary or Georgia or Romania or the Caribbean. But a lot of things to think about is Ukraine was the most affordable country to study in. So a lot of these other European countries are charging twice as much, three times as much. So many people couldn't even afford that if they wanted to.
Oh, that's very very it's very very sad to hear this. Um, hmm. So apart from medicine, I know you're so
Mhm.
passionate about your dream of becoming a medical doctor.
Mhm.
So now that that and the present circumstance, or like at the present moment, it doesn't
Mhm.
look possible or promising. You're reading paramedic science.
Mhm.
What can the paramedic science actually do? Or is there any way that maybe you can maybe I don't want to say maybe do something with it, but is there any way that maybe you can just progress to become a medical doctor, with paramedic science? Is there any way that you can do that with that?
I think kind of it would work the same as a science degree where you can do a graduate program, graduate
Mhm.
medicine. Like when you study paramedic science, you become a paramedic. So you do have baseline
Okay.
um like clinical skills that you can
Okay.
use in the future. Um
Mm.
but my plan again is to do both. So by the grace of God, I'll be graduating from both degrees in the
Okay.
same year, 2025 in the same year. And I hope that whilst I'm trying to sort out my medical degree, I can start working as a paramedic, get the clinical skills, and then write the plab 1, plab 2, and then be able to transfer into medicine, and maybe if they're still accepting the degree, be able to go on to do my foundation year training.
Wow. I just love your resilience. I just love your resilience because you know what you want. And it's like you do everything to get to, that destination. And that alone, I just commend you for that. And whatever, the outcome will be, we just wish you the best. Nothing but the best. Because we know that you become a great woman. And obviously, yes, you are a great woman. So, Gift, don't let anything sway you from becoming what you've purposed your heart, actually purposed in your heart, actually to be. So we just wish you all the best.
Thank you
we
so
love
much.
you. And we thank God for your life. We thank God for your life. Yeah. So all the best, and to my friends, my loved ones, and to the Inside View, team that have actually stood, with us till now. We say thank you. And we say thank you for your company. To my team, to my crew, thank you so much. Gift, all the best. And once again, New Year. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.